You will be hearing all kinds of definitions and contexts today regarding inclusivity, diversity, inclusion. What I want to tell you might not be very different, but I hope it resonates. Representation matters. When you see somebody who looks like yourself, who grows up in a similar way, perhaps, maybe someone with a similar ethnicity, or maybe someone you can relate to on some level, it makes you feel like you're the audience. It makes you feel like, even if it's not your story, it can make you feel like you're part of it and that it's for you. You don't have to be part of the mainstream population. You can be an ethnic minority, for example. But when it comes down to it, these are just aesthetics as well, right? On screen and on the page. There's a lot of universalities in human emotion, human connection, human relationships. And that is what I'm here to talk to you about. Books, reading, and writing. So I grew up with white authors. I didn't see them as different. I was just so used to reading them and relating to them in my own way. But what I did was, in recent years, I took a very, very white, very, very English author named Jane Austen, who herself at the time, wrote under anonymity and was a tremendously successful novelist, which was not a profession that was approved of for genteel young ladies. Yet she took it upon herself to publish books, and she tried to be financially independent. And so I took some of her stories and, together with some of my contemporaries, we took the narratives of her stories and inspiration from some of her characters and situations, and we set them 200 years later in modern day Pakistan, where I'm from. I was born in Lahore, and it's just very interesting the way we can relate beyond all kinds of boundaries to stories, to narratives, just because of human emotion and universalities of experiences. So translating Austen to modern day Pakistan was so easy. It didn't take much of an imagination, even in some ways, because there's a lot of parallels between that world and this world. In fact, even more so than current day England. So in that way, it was very interesting sociologically. But at the same time, what we did was we started a new subgenre, South Asian women and South Asian society, that lens for Jane Austen. So a whole new audience, a whole new global audience got to read our work, which was commercial fiction. It's an easy read, it's like a holiday read. But a whole new audience basically got to read it through our eyes, through the lenses of our characters growing up in cities in Pakistan, upwardly mobile cities, and the upwardly mobile strata of society, just like the kind that Jane Austen herself wrote about. Not for any kind of realistic portrayals, but for the same elements of humor, romance, and charm that one looks for in mainstream rom-coms and chick lit and the pop culture genre that is traditionally reserved for white English-speaking countries. And, this is a very exciting time to be a person of color because there's finally some kind of inclusivity. It's trendy right now to have projects with people of color like us, and what I'm really enjoying as well is the fact that we can talk about things like frivolous things, whimsical things, humor, horror, science fiction, and we can do it unapologetically. We don't have to just stick to a trying, difficult human experience like that we might not even have experienced ourselves, but it's just synonymous with us because of headline news around the world, such as terrorism, such as honor killing. All this has become cliched now, in terms of what people think they need to see from this part of the world. I mean, this part of the world, just like any other part of the world, is full of stories, is full of all kinds of charming, interesting escapism. And I feel that if you're part of pop culture, the whole diversity of it, it just brings a whole new level of beauty and eclectic appeal. So, in terms of inclusivity, I would say to young girls and older girls everywhere, don't be embarrassed, don't be ashamed, to speak your truth and to be part of whatever you think is interests you, whether it's trying to be part of something mainstream. I would say always use your voice and don't conform. Don't try to be what people expect you to be just because of who you are, what you look like, and where you come from. Just be really true to yourself, and you will find your audience. You will find your readers. You will resonate. Thank you.